Welcome back to the Loyal Sons podcast. I am the Hoff. I am flying solo as host tonight. Jared C. needs the night off due to some stuff from work, and Brett just needs the night off to take a break. So this is part 2 of our episode that we are recording this week. As I headlined in the first part, we have a very special guest joining us tonight. And this is a friend / special guest, Mr. Mike Zierath, who is a longtime Iowa Hawkeyes supporter, also a former analyst / writer / whatever you want to call it, Mike. And you know what? I'm not going to butcher that. I'm going to send it over to you and let you give us that rundown. But before we get into that, this is the Loyal Sons podcast. We are the Loyal Sons of the great state of Iowa, the great Midwest, the IowaState Cyclones. We also cover the Iowa Hawkeyes and Nebraska Cornhuskers. And Mike might disagree with this, but the greatest conference in all of college sports, the mighty Big 12 Conference. And for those of you can't see him, but he is giving me that look right now. But so Mike, welcome. Yeah. And thank you for joining us. Really happy to have you. And really happy to talk some Hawkeyes and some Big Ten.
It's good to be here.
It's a little bit refreshing with us, talking about the same old Big 12 so much,
Well, you're doing something right, because I listen to you. So
it's all that state of Iowa loyalty. But definitely, again, I appreciate you joining. So, Mike, tell us a little bit about who you are, and then what's your lifelong connection to the Hawkeyes and just college football overall, college sports overall.
Well, let's start with the latter of that first.
Okay.
My connection with the Hawkeyes went back to junior high and Lute Olson and Ronnie Lester in the Iowa basketball program. And I was a big fan of the Iowa basketball program. And until they hired Hayden Fry as their head coach, and he had that news conference in late 78, early 79, it was the winter of after the season had ended. Okay. I didn't even know they had a football program. And I played. They were terrible. 19 straight losing seasons.
Oh, my gosh.
So here's this fella on local Iowa TV with his sunglasses on at night and a cowboy hat and a big old handlebar mustache, talking like he just climbed out of Texas.
Hadn't he? Wasn't he previously at North Texas?
He was at North Texas. Yeah, that's where he came from. And he had been a coach at Arkansas and Baylor and SMU. He actually integrated SMU in the old Southwest Conference with Jerry.
No kidding. I did not know that.
He brought in the first black football player in the Southwest Conference and took a lot of heat for it, which is why he ended up at North Texas. And then he had 2 straight, I believe, I'd have to look back to fact check this, but I think he had 2 straight 10-win seasons at North Texas and didn't get invited to a bowl game. And Iowa was looking for a coach, and Iowa couldn't get a first down, and he figured he could probably figure out a way to get him there. And I became an Iowa fan that night, actually.
Yeah. I mean, Hayden is that guy. He's very gravitational, I think is the better term for it. And I was a huge Hayden Fry fan, even growing up, because, I mean, I wasn't.
It was hard not to like him.
Yeah, and if you grew up in the state of Iowa or anywhere in the Midwest, it was really hard not to everybody just kind of saw him as like a father figure in some cases.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I was a Hawkeyes fan and an Iowa State fan kind of at the same time, but being a kid that's 10, 11, 12 years old, and we've got a 4-8 Cyclone team with a Heisman Trophy candidate, and they still can't win more than 4 games. And then you got Tavian Banks, and you got Cedric Shaw, and you got Tim Dwight, Jared DeVries. You got all these guys playing at Iowa.
His jersey is hanging on my wall upstairs in the Hawkeye room.
DeVries?
Yeah.
Yep, one of my favorite Iowa players of all time. But as a kid will do, you kind of go fair weather. I'll admit I had a Tavian Banks poster on my wall, but I'll never forget, I wrote Hayden Fry a letter at one point. I had 13 years old. I'm not going to go into the whole sad story, but I had lost a friend that was a football player and wrestler at our high school in Logan Magnolia. It was a very big impact to the town. And it was one of those where I lost him in a motorcycle accident right in front of me. And I don't know what came over me, but I wrote a letter to Hayden Fry telling him, diehard football fan, diehard football player. I even said, hope to someday maybe play for the Hawkeyes. I even listed out my stats from my season. Never thought I would hear back. I'll be damned. I got a handwritten letter back. It's still at my dad's place up in Logan. sending his condolences, talking about great job on a great season. We hope to see you in a few years, all this stuff. And he even sent me a Iowa Hawkeyes team photo signed by Tavian Banks. And I can't remember who the quarterback was that year, but both of them signed it, and Hayden. But yeah, didn't mean to take over there, but yeah, it was a great memory of Hayden. But
Matt Sherman was the quarterback, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's right. That is right. So that's when you became a fan.
Yeah, but then later, in life, as things go, I became a season ticket holder in '89. I was a season ticket holder from '89 to 2013. With the invention of the internet and dial-up, God, I can still remember that. The Big Ten fan forums back in the day. Then Hawkeye Nation became a thing, and I became a contributor at Hawkeye Nation with John Miller and Tom Kakert.
Okay.
Later, Planet Hawkeye.
Yeah.
And then the Hawkeye Report. And I spent a number of years helping Tom at Hawkeye Report. Early on, I was paid, but then I was found out I was a booster. So that became a non-paying position.
Highest opinions out there,
But I followed recruiting really heavily. And then after I wasn't doing that anymore, Blair Sanderson, took that over. He does a wonderful job at Hawkeye Report.
Mm-hmm.
And I just did kind of opinion pieces for years across the entire college football spectrum.
What were some of the outlets that you were sending your opinion pieces to?
No, it was just Rivals and Yahoo Sports.
Yeah, right. Okay.
That's who owned it. So
yeah, all right.
That's who got it. But then I also owned a collegiate apparel and novelties company from 2000 to 2008, and we had stores in Cedar Rapids and Coralville and sold on Iowa game days. So I was pretty heavily invested.
Boy, you opened in Coralville from 2000 to 2008. That was right when that was booming in that area too.
Yeah, it was really booming. 2004 was really good. 2004 was really good. But as all good things do, sometimes they come to an end. That came to an end, and then I moved down to Texas in 2013, and I dropped the season tickets, and I'm still a fan. So yeah.
Sometimes you become an even stronger fan after you lose the season tickets.
One of the things that I've always said, I think I've said this to you before too, is the watching games after having talked about them, worked in it a little bit, it becomes a different thing, right? It becomes more analytical. You want to just be a fan and cheer, but you're watching what the tight end did or the right guard, for Christ's sakes, and you're trying to figure out why they couldn't get to the second level and how close that play was to being a 90-yard touchdown run instead of a 2-yard loss. And you're
talking about why are the corners sucking in on
exactly.
hitch and
how
go.
Come they're not, or why aren't they? Why are they so far back? What's going on? What are they doing?
Why aren't we collapsing down on the ends? Right?
It becomes a. Well, I think you and I have watched football together before, and I see you doing the same thing. So
yeah.
It's a little different game now. I mean,
and it's funny because I've seen this happen with you as well. Because you're somebody who helps organize the DFW Club watch parties for the Hawkeye games here in this area, and there's others are there, and you're such a great supporter, and you go around, you're shaking everybody's hand, you're making everybody feel welcome, and then when the game watch starts, it's funny because I see you and I share somewhat of a similar mindset where. I'll see Hawkeye fans that, they're just fans. Like they've never coached. They've never, really analyzed the sport. They've never broken it down. And they might be chirping about, why is this person doing this? And it is funny because every once in a while I see it, like it's almost too much. You kind of speak up and correct them, not in a bad way, but you're just like, well, no, the reason that they did this was because of this. You're kind of like teaching them. Yep. Some of them are accepting of it. We have a mutual friend that, she's sometimes not. She'll listen to this and probably laugh.
I know. She will. But that's kind of the connection. And just spent a lot of years of watching Hawkeye sports.
That's great. That's great. No, and it's awesome that you have such a history with him. Going all the way back to Hayden's first days. Because I can literally still picture in my mind the white polo or a black sweater.
Pullover with the white pants.
That's what it was. Yep. And those glasses. And it didn't matter if it was pouring down rain out there.
Nope, sure did.
He had those glasses on, but no, that's fantastic. And yeah, you're 100% right. It's funny. My father, anytime I'm back in Iowa, and if we go somewhere my stepmother is also a big Cyclone supporter. My father, he could give a flying damn about the sport of football, even though as big as I was on it growing up. But he was more of a, obviously he had us on a wrestling mat at 5 years old. So it was more, that was what he was more focused on. But
Well,
he'll still sit.
It was
He'll still, yep, he'll still sit and watch. But yeah, he does bring up the fact that he said watching with me there is definitely something that is different than sitting there and watching it with others, because I'm sitting there breaking down what we need to be doing defensively to stop the offense, and also what we need to be doing offensively to move the ball on a defense. And he's even called me out a couple times. He's like, I don't know why you're not back in coaching, because you're calling the offensive plays they're running. He said, you literally say they're going to go here, and they do it. I'm no Tony Romo, but yeah, I mean, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah. Kim says I should have been an announcer, is what I should have been, because I can say exactly what they're going to say on TV, and then they say it. And then.
Yep. It's a blessing and a curse, Mike.
It is.
So let's talk about this. So with the Hawks, and as we were talking about this before we started recording, but this 2-part episode this week, I titled it Quicksand. And in part 1, I played the clip from The Replacements where Shane Falco is talking about the quicksand effect, especially as a quarterback. And you're trying to make plays that aren't there, and you just keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper till you're in over your head and you almost can't get out. And the 3 teams we cover in Iowa State, Iowa, and Nebraska, they're all going through it or have gone through it at some point in the season. And they're all 3 in different spots. And I wouldn't say Iowa necessarily was ever in a situation with, a quicksand type, setting, because, Gronowski, he maybe was struggling a little bit to get used to the offense at the beginning of the year, but overall he's still that tough ass playmaker. And Iowa, I think, just being gritty has stuck through it. And let's not jump ahead. I don't want to jinx anything, but they're setting themselves up to potentially come out in a really damn good spot if they can pull off some wins here. Iowa State's on the opposite side of that, where they're kind of a mess right now, and they're reeling, and they're trying to figure out how to stop it. Nebraska, they have no idea where they are at right now, because Mahomes Jr. is out for the season. And without him, based off what I saw last week, I don't know what they got as far as second string to throw the ball, but the guy that they had in there, I can't even remember his name right now.
Starts with an L. I couldn't tell you either.
Yeah. And that's how little that guy's seen in the field. But yeah, they might be a rough go. But let's kick it off with the Hawks. So again, going back to, the Hawks started out this year, and everybody had their hopes high, I think, and they were really kind of hoping that Gronowski was going to come in, and he was, like you and I talked about, he was just rocketing that ball up at South Dakota State. And I think a lot of people were hoping to see something similar. And he came in. Me. Yeah, I mean, myself as well. And he came in, and we didn't really see yardage go through the roof. Right. And the Iowa State game was a perfect example of it, which if those 2 teams played now, good God, you guys would murder Iowa State. But your thoughts, kind of what changed from the beginning of the season to now? Was it coaching? Was there shifts in the offense or defense? Like, what is it?
I think it's easy for me to say this. It's just coach speak. I think everybody continues. You strive to get better week after week after week, right? Iowa does a really good job of that.
Sure.
They start off a little slow sometimes. Got beat by Iowa State. I didn't think we should have lost. Got beat by Indiana. And I think Stevens makes that kick and make it 16-13, and we kick off to them. I think that's the way that the game ends, and I think we win that game too. We're only a few plays away. And somebody's going to say, oh, man, you're looking at it through black and gold colored glasses. Well, I'm not. I'm just looking at it from this is what should have happened, could have happened. Well, could have. It didn't. We lost. Okay.
Right.
But this team continues to get better each week. I said after the Wisconsin win that this team's different. This is a different Iowa group of players that we've seen from the last couple of years.
Wrecked that place.
And the biggest factor, I think, and it's probably not discussed often enough, is Gronowski is a winner.
He is.
And when you said, my God, that dude is gritty. That guy, people don't even realize it. He's the winningest quarterback in NCAA history.
Really?
Wins than any quarterback in NCAA history.
Because he only lost one at South Dakota State?
He probably lost more than that.
Did he?
But he's at like 65 or 55, 56 wins right now. That's
How
more
many
than
years was he?
He's in his
How
fifth.
many?
He's in his
Oh,
fifth.
he's in his 5th year. I'm sorry. I thought he was in his 4th
I'm sorry.
year.
That's 10 wins a year, dude. That's
That's
pretty
incredible.
Good. That's
yeah,
pretty good.
especially like when you think about FCS and having to go all the way through the playoffs and playing up in freaking South. My brother played at South Dakota, University of South Dakota, back when they were D2. Luckily, they had the Dakota Dome because would not want to play outside up there. But yeah, he is gritty. He's got that want to win. And like you say, I don't think it is black and gold colored glasses because, I mean, maybe some would see it that way. Probably people on the other side of the Missouri River might see it that way. But there's a lot of people, a lot of big names out there. Pat McAfee on his show, he's got a guy that is a big time Iowa Hawkeye.
Yeah, I watch him once in a while. Yeah,
and he's talked about that, exactly what you're saying. And I've heard people on ESPN, Fox Sports talk about the same thing, saying Iowa's been right there. They're 2 scores away from being undefeated.
They're really 2 plays away from being undefeated.
That's just a fact, right? And if Gronowski if he didn't have to rely on Hank against Indiana, things may have changed. Yep. Things may have changed. So, and just thankfully he was able to come back from that.
Yeah. I'm glad he was. I'm glad it wasn't any more serious than it seems to have been.
I'm going to be honest, I was sitting there watching it with you guys, and when he went down, I immediately thought to myself, no, because a guy that tough doesn't just need help to get off the field. But he came back, and you guys are sitting in a fantastic spot right now. You waxed Wisconsin up in Madison. You cleared out the stadium after Jump Around played, and the last thing I remember seeing was Iowa's team actually jumping around more than anybody else there. And then just kick the ever-living snot out of Minnesota for the Floyd of Rosedale, which was a huge win for you guys. And it's funny, it's like how passionate everybody, and that's every team has that game on their schedule that maybe they aren't considered a rival, maybe they are, maybe it's not one of their most intense rivals, but everybody that's watching the game just wants them to continue to pound that team. And they were up by upper 20s. I don't know what it was. I don't even know if Minnesota had scored yet.
It was 31-0 at half. So
that's what it was. And every single first down, every single opportunity Iowa had to get a turnover or get points, everybody that was watching that game was cheering just as hard as they were for the very first touchdown. So it meant a lot. So I think that game did kind of define where this team is at right now.
Well, I think the real defining moment might have been in the Penn State game. When you're down double digits against a team that was preseason number 2, they still have those same players that everybody was thinking was going to make a run in the college football playoff.
And then they've also
got that headline Their coach has been fired. They've lost 3 in a row, but they're up double digits.
Lost their coach, lost their starting quarterback, and everybody has been saying all week long, you should beat this team.
Yeah. And Iowa came back and won it. And I don't think last year or the year before that, they could have done that.
Sometimes it's a coach, sometimes it's a leader on the field that really turns that tide. We saw it with Nebraska back when Scott Frost was coaching, and they had 9 one-score losses or something.
Yeah, it was terrible.
That was the thing everybody was saying. A good coach, a winning coach, will shift that mindset where those 1 scores go the opposite direction, right?
Right.
And it's funny because similar to the Iowa State game last weekend, which did not turn out the way that it did for you guys against Penn State, but I was watching it with my co-host Brett. His father was sitting there with us, and I told him, I said, I don't give a shit if they win this game by 1 point. I don't give a shit that they have a backup quarterback. Their starting receiver is out, a Big 12 leading receiver. I said, if they win this game, this could change the trajectory of the season, because it's one of those, you don't care how much you win by, you just got to win.
Yeah.
And Penn State was a very important win for the Hawkeyes. But yeah, who knows what's going to happen with Penn State now. So here sits Iowa with 1 Big Ten loss, and on the very near horizon, we've got the Oregon Ducks coming into Kinnick.
Yep.
This is a team that Oregon's Oregon. Everybody knows they're high flying. They love to play fast pace. They love to get your defense's head spinning to a point that, you don't even know what the hell happened. And all of a sudden they're in the end zone.
Yep.
And they're really not notorious for playing defense, even though they've had a few solid defenses here and there.
Right. They're pretty good this year. Yeah.
Yep. And that's why I wanted to get your thoughts. So looking at Oregon right now, what are you seeing with this team? They're kind of in the same spot as you guys as far as hopes on the postseason, the Big Ten championship, everything. The only thing that's different is that number next to the team's name.
Well, they came out number 9 tonight in the College Football Playoff Committee ranking, and the Iowa Hawkeyes came out at number 20.
Pretty damn awesome.
So I thought maybe Iowa would be 24-25. I thought maybe that the folks doing the rankings would really like to see a ranked-on-ranked game this weekend, because these are the only rankings that matter at this point.
It's true.
But Oregon is a 9? I don't know. I mean, they're ranked 6th in the AP. They lost one game to Indiana, one. And they're super fast. They've got 2 freshman wide receivers that can run you right out of the building.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a quarterback that can get them the ball. They had about a 5-headed monster at running back. I think it's down to about 3 now, but
I was just looking that up right now, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that it doesn't really matter who they put back there. They're going to tote the rock, and they're going to try and beat you. But about the time you think you need to stop the run, Moore is going to go over the top. Dante Moore, he's going to find one of those young receivers, and they're going to beat you all the way to the end zone.
You know, and looking at where Oregon stacks up compared to the rest of the conference. So Moore's, as far as yards, he's 10th in the conference.
Yeah.
We don't even need to look at where Gronowski's sitting at 17th, which, I mean.
Well, 17 out of 18, you know.
Yeah. That's not going to blow you away. But that's really not the important factor that Gronowski brings to the field. Receiving, though. You know, Oregon is notorious for having... they may not be the guys that are leading the conference in receiving, but they've got 4 or 5 guys that are middle tier, middle of the conference guys.
How many do you want?
Right.
You got 4 or 5 guys you can throw the ball to, and you have a lot of confidence that they're going to catch it, right?
Right.
Now, I don't know, other than Indiana, you know, I mean, we've got a defensive coordinator was the assistant. What was he? The Frank Broyles Award winner last year for the best defensive coordinator in the country.
Yep.
Probably should have been it a couple of other times. You can't win it every year. The guy is fantastic. Phil Parker, no relation to Norm.
No, but a fantastic defensive coordinator, though.
He is really good. And if you're an Iowa fan or just a fan of college football and you watch them at all, you can see that they may get beat early.
Mm-hmm.
They make the corrections, and I hope we don't even have to make corrections this week, to be honest with you. But I have a feeling it's not going to be that simple. But I have a lot of faith in them. I'm going to be really disappointed. I can honestly say this. I'm probably going to be really disappointed this weekend if we lose. And I don't get that worked up over games. I don't. But these are all win and go or lose and go home type games at this point, right?
Yep. 100%.
I've been saying for a few weeks, win and you're in.
You saw me 2 weeks ago when Iowa State was playing BYU. That was the 11th ranked team in the nation. We were unranked, and it was based off rankings, not a team that you should expect your team to beat. But yeah, I was not very often does a football game ruin the next 24 hours of my day.
It started out great.
But when we're looking at Oregon, this game is very similar to that.
It is.
The one thing when I look at Oregon, and it's funny because the reason I said this earlier is that Oregon they're not a team that has a defensive reputation. But this year,
Nolan.
Yeah.
Where are they ranked nationally, Nolan? Don't look. Don't you look.
Are you talking about national? I looked in the Big Ten.
Total defense nationally. Where are they ranked?
Total defense, I don't know. I know that they're
number
right
4.
Behind. They're right
number
behind
4.
In the big. So they're 4th in the Big Ten and nationally.
No, Toledo's in between Iowa and Oregon. It goes Ohio State, Iowa, Toledo, Oregon in the top 4. Total defense. Scoring defense, I think I'll look here real quick, but I think they're 13th.
Right, and that's exactly what I wanted to bring up.
That's why they're actually 6th.
Because a lot of people that aren't looking at this are going, well, Iowa should just be able to run right through them, right? No, they're kind of like Texas Tech. Like they realized how to play defense.
Yeah, well, somebody figured out that that's how you win, right? Defense wins championships. Yeah. But Iowa's scoring defense is 12.38 a game, and they're number 4. Oregon's is at 13.5, and they're number 6. So I don't know. It'll probably be one of those games that ends up being 35-34 or some stupid like. But I don't expect a lot of points to be scored.
And there's really
somebody. I don't know.
There's only one. Let's see here, and I was just looking through that because there was something I wanted to bring up in regards to who they play. Obviously, they lost to Indiana, but very much similar to. I mean, it was a close game, and Indiana kind of gritted it out and beat them the same way they beat Iowa. But you look at they had Penn State, which Penn State that was when they were at. Well, that was actually that was the beginning of the end.
That was definitely the beginning of the end
State,
for Franklin. Yeah.
Yep. And they gritted that one out and they won. That was just a crazy game to watch because I don't know what Oregon's head coach was on at the end of that game, but holy God, I've never seen a guy's eyes look like that as a head coach. And again, it was a long day. Normally I would remember, I know what that guy's name is. Their head coach, Oregon. Lanning. Yes. Yeah. It was, just his passion is crazy, but you look at the rest of their schedule and it's like, they beat Montana State, which they're no slouch of an FCS team, but still
they're not.
And Oklahoma State is a shell of themselves.
Well, somebody gave him a little bulletin board material on that one.
Yeah, that's right.
The Gundy did that, and now Gundy's not there.
Yep, 100%. And then Northwestern, which Northwestern early in the season was not really kind of what they. Yeah,
they weren't what they are. They weren't what they are now for sure. Yeah.
You got one of the two teams remaining in the Pac-12, Oregon State, which they throttled pretty good. And then they had that tough gauntlet with Penn State and Oregon and then just throttled Rutgers, which is not, Rutgers has given some people a run this year. But the one that stands out to me, and this is one of those where like you get later in the season, you get to a point after the mid-season point in everybody's schedule, especially when you start looking at things to really define where teams are at. And you can kind of take the first 5 to 6 games and just throw them away.
Yeah,
and the games that truly are the ones that define where do these teams stack up are the very recent games, common opponents usually. And I said this in last week's episode too. Jared gave me a hard time about this because I mentioned that Oregon beat Wisconsin 21-7. Wisconsin hung with them, where you guys just went in and just beat the ever-living piss out of them. Now, does that mean anything? No. But yeah, well.
But
so going into this game, Mike, home. What's Iowa got to do to win?
But it was also a monsoon.
It was, yeah. Well, and I was watching it. Yeah, it was fine because I saw that. I saw has gone crazy on Twitter or X, but that poor cheerleader standing there crying because she's just getting soaked standing there in the sidelines.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, Wisconsin went in there and it was one of those like I think I had the multi-view up or what I was flipping back and forth, kind of expecting the next time I go back to the game, Oregon's going to obviously be up 40 to God knows whatever. And they just weren't pulling away. And Wisconsin's not a great defense. So, I think, like I said, it doesn't mean anything, but it showed some things. I'm sure Iowa has watched that game film. Phil has. But
isn't that the game that Dante Moore had the bloody face and broken nose or not? Maybe I don't know if it's broken or not, but I think they had their second string quarterback in for a majority of that game.
He was, yeah. I think it was like I want to say second quarter or something. But the thing is Oregon.
The guy only threw 4 passes.
Yeah, they were relying heavily on their running game. Which if you've got to rely only on the run against Wisconsin, and this is just historically, you're going to struggle. In most seasons.
Most years,
yeah. So with this game coming up this week,
yeah,
on Saturday.
Yeah.
And let's see here. What network are we on? So we're on CBS. It's a 2:30 kickoff.
CBS game. Big noons there.
And this is one time I'll say I'm pissed. I've got to be at an Iowa State game with Iowa State coming down to Fort Worth.
Let me cry you a whole boatload of tears, buddy.
I'm going to be honest, man. Like, depending on how the first quarter goes, I might want to be sitting in a bar watching your game. But anyways, so going into this, how does Iowa win this game?
They play Kirk Ferentz football.
Which, for anybody who doesn't know what that means.
Well, you tell me, Hoffer,
Means boring football.
Man, you need to play ball control.
You slow the game down.
Run the ball. Don't give them extra possessions. win the turnover battle. It's the same thing he's done for 27 years, and it's been very, very successful. And if they're ever gonna do it to a team, they need to do it to Oregon this weekend. They just need to keep them off the field.
And how can they do that, you think? I mean, obviously Iowa has the ability to, I mean, they can, not only can they run the clock, but defensively, Iowa can take the ball away. I haven't watched more enough to know like how risky he is in his passing.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game where as much as they like to air it out, I mean, Iowa
both teams are solid against the run, but let me just point something out.
Yeah.
Wisconsin only allows 110 yards a game rushing. Iowa ring all over them, and so did Oregon.
Yep.
So it's possible that they could both run all over each other. I don't know, but it's going to come down to that one or two plays, that go the right way.
Do you think Moulton could be an X factor for Iowa in this game?
God, I hope so. I mean, I'd like to see him get 150 yards. That'd make me smile from ear to ear.
Hell yeah. I mean, he's been a consistent back.
And he's tough too. He's tough.
Yep. He actually has more yards than the leading rusher from Oregon. But again, like you said, Oregon does a pretty good job of rotating in a pretty healthy stable of guys.
They've got a whole bunch of guys. I mean, Iowa had a whole bunch of guys at the beginning of the year too, but then Jazion Patterson gets hurt. Mm-hmm. The redshirt freshman for Iowa gets hurt. Actually, he's a redshirt sophomore. But so you start to narrow down who's got the ability to carry the ball, and that's what's happened to Oregon as well. So
tell me a little bit about Moore. Is he dangerous outside the pocket?
I don't know.
His stats don't represent it.
I don't think they do either. That's why I said I don't know. But I'm certain, if I had to think back on it, he was a dual threat quarterback coming out of Michigan.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
So is it possible that he could do some damage with his legs? Yeah, sure. Look at our guy. Gronowski's what, 6'2", 230?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
now, the dude can. And Moore, correct me if I'm wrong, is he not the same guy that went to Oregon? There was a quarterback that transferred to Oregon. Oregon turned right back around and brought Dylan Gabriel in. And this guy had just transferred to Oregon and then found out, okay, I'm going to be sitting behind Dylan Gabriel, or was that Moore, or was that a different guy?
Was Gabriel last year?
Yeah.
Well, then it was Moore.
Okay. I remember because I listened to Unnecessary Roughness on Barstool, and Liam Blutman, who's one of their personalities on there, was throwing a fit about like, why would you stick it out at Oregon? You went there and all of a sudden they go and they get another quarterback and bring him in, kind of screw you over. But yeah, this should be a hell of a game. And the team that walks out of it, just like you said, they're still surviving, and the other one can kind of start looking.
You're writing your own ticket at this point. This point in the year, after week 9, the losses matter a lot more, and the wins matter as well. So, I mean, you're writing your own ticket to the playoffs at this point.
At this point, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that was going to be the next question I asked you. So we all know who has a major influence on the CFP rankings. I mean, shit, they're the network that broadcasts.
Well, it just means more, Nolan. It just means more.
Of course, right? It's just, it goes back to the, why the hell is Texas ranked here versus Iowa a few weeks ago? Looking at this, because the likelihood, never know what can happen, but I don't think anybody foresees Indiana or Ohio State losing.
Not in the regular season until
they get to the Big Ten championship, right? So with that being said, I say Iowa pulls this off. Oregon, it doesn't really matter which one we pick, Iowa or Oregon. You're going to have a one-loss team sitting there. Now for Iowa, this is where I get curious. Iowa is a 2-loss overall team, but a 1-loss in conference. And say they win this game and they win out the rest of the season and don't get to go to the Big Ten championship. Are they a playoff team?
Yep. I've been saying that for 3 weeks. I don't know how you can't. I don't know how they can't be.
There's a coach at Florida State that would probably tell you he knows how to disagree with you on it.
Yeah, I know. Sure there is. I'm positive that's true.
Yeah. No, I was wondering what your thoughts were on that.
I think it's the same for Oregon. I think it's the same for USC. I think it could be the same for Michigan, and it could be the same for Washington. I think there's 5 teams right now that kind of have their fate in their hands.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you got Ohio State, you got Indiana.
Michigan will get beat by Ohio State.
I don't think that. Yeah, this is the year where that ends. I feel like Ohio State just nobody. That's one of the most talented college football teams I've ever seen.
I think Washington still has to play USC and Oregon both.
You guys still have to play USC,
Oregon, and USC.
Yeah, it's a round robin from 3rd down to 6th or 7th in the Big Ten. What an interesting pickle we're in, though, compared to where we were looking at week 3, right?
Yeah, much.
Yeah, I mean, I knew some Iowa fans that live up in Iowa and are diehard fans that after Iowa State beat them, they're sitting there going like, I mean, some of them were ready to throw the damn towel in. They're not like you, Mike. They're not like, some of the ones that, we all know down here. But, there was some of them ready to say, okay, well, this Gronowski kid isn't what we thought he was going to be. Iowa's going to struggle. We don't have an offense.
Give him a little time.
Brian Ferentz' illness is still in the program.
Well, that's because it came from his daddy, right?
Yep.
I mean,
true.
We all know that it's still Kirk's football team, and the offense is never going to be the best offense they ever had, I think, was 0-2, and you guys beat us in 0-2.
Brad Banks.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the best quarterbacks y'all have ever had, in my opinion.
One of the best teams we've ever had, and you guys came back and won that game in the 4th quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Right in front of me.
Seneca Wallace
was there. Yeah.
You were at that game?
Yep.
I was in Ames watching that game at a house party.
Well, I'm sure it got crazy.
Yeah. And Nebraska lost that night to Penn State. I'll never forget it. Larry Johnson went off on them and just destroyed them. So this is the situation we're in. Again, kind of a round robin for the rest of the season. What does Oregon have to do to beat Iowa? I mean, and obviously I think some people would say, well, that's common sense, but Iowa's got, Iowa wants to try and slow them, just outscore them.
Well, I think if they get ahead, as it's kind of like I said a couple of years ago, Iowa wasn't built to come back. I don't think you can let a really good team get ahead like that and count on coming back every time. If they run an efficient offense and stop Iowa's run, they're going to win the game. Okay.
Yeah. It's crazy to say that Iowa, you can almost look at it in a very simplistic way. If Iowa forces Oregon to have to huddle, they can beat them.
Pretty much.
Kind of weird to think about it, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, BBS 2:30 this weekend on Saturday. We're going to be pulling for Iowa, man. I think everybody, even non-Big Ten fans, everybody's tired of seeing the same teams, coming out of the Big Ten going to the playoff.
I think it's pretty refreshing that Indiana's done it 2 years in a row.
Indiana's pretty refreshing. It's something that definitely supports the Signetti hype from last year. And I know they went in the playoff and got just kind of their shit kicked in. And everybody was thinking, okay, well, they're overrated, which they might have been. But they turned right back around and did it again.
They're doing it to everybody now.
Right.
Now, how many 50-point games have they had this year? How many 50-point games has Indiana had this year?
How many 50-point games does Indiana have? Let me look. I guarantee it's not as
4, 5?
5.
Really?
Yeah, I got 5.
That's
yeah, for a Big Ten school outside, if it's not Ohio State or Oregon, you don't really anticipate anybody in the Big Ten to be doing that. So let's take a look really quick. There is another team that we cover that does have a game this weekend that people aren't probably going to be outside of the state of Nebraska and, any of their very loyal fans. People probably aren't going to be caring about this as much in the Husker fan base after what happened last week. In that game, I believe it was the 3rd quarter, Patrick Mahomes Jr., Dylan Raiola, which I hate seeing this happen to any kid, that regardless of, me being a Chiefs fan, it driving me nuts how much he mimics Patrick Mahomes. The kid's a decent quarterback.
He's like a clone. He's a clone.
And he's a leader of that
That's
team.
funny. Wait a minute. That's kind of funny, sort of.
He could be. Like, I don't know if we would take him for the Clones, but
Yeah, right.
But he goes down with an injury and he's out the rest of the season now.
Yep.
Broken fibula.
Yep.
Yep.
And they've got UCLA this weekend.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you guys had it happen to you. UCLA's got that snake bite ability where they can just pop up out of nowhere and bite you in the ass.
They got us last year.
Yep. And I mean, based on what I saw from their backup quarterbacks, what they have in the stable, I don't know how much passing attack they're going to have. And then they got to play Penn State, which Penn State, even though they're down and out right now, they're still a tough team to beat. And then, lucky for them, they've got Iowa. So could be a rough run for the Huskers. But yeah, so. In true Iowa fan fashion, I will say this: until Nebraska moved, and I was living in Iowa at this point, or Omaha/Iowa, when Nebraska moved to the Big Ten, I somehow never anticipated there was going to be just such a bloodthirsty rivalry between those two teams.
Well, I didn't either. But when their fan base comes out and says, we're going to own the Big Ten, we're going to be the Big Ten champions year after year after year, and then never do anything to back it up.
No, they got
I think it's irony and a little bit of karma.
Yeah, and they've been to the Big Ten championship once or twice?
Once, and
it did not go well for them, if I remember.
It did not go well.
Yeah, and it's funny because the one thing that always drove me nuts because there's true Nebraska fans who know football, just like there is in every fan base. And then there's the fans.
Yeah, there's good fans everywhere. Yeah.
And then there's the fans who, they bought an Eric Crouch jersey way back in the day or whatever. Those were the ones that were always the loudest. And the amount of times, and it happened a lot right when I moved to Texas, I would be out watching football on the Saturday and I would have an Iowa State hat. Oh God, we hate Iowa State. I'm like, why? We don't even play in the same conference. Well, you're the Hawkeyes, right? I'm like, you better walk away right now. So Nebraska's at UCLA this weekend. All right, Mike, I'm going to ask you just some final thoughts here. So give me a prediction on Iowa and Oregon. You can give me what you really think is going to happen. You can give me what you hope is going to happen too.
Well, here's what I hope happens. I hope Kinnick's a special place.
Yep.
A lot of Iowa fans understand it, and it's going to be loud.
Very.
And I'd love to see, a few turnovers, us get in their head a little bit and do the things that Iowa does and walk away with a, 31-17, 31-14 win.
Kind of like they did to Penn State, 7 years ago.
Yeah, sort of. But it's Oregon. And it makes you wonder. They're not ranked in the top 10 for a reason, right? I mean,
there's something that the pollsters are, which I don't, not the pollsters, but I will say that the CFP I have more faith in than I do the AP poll voters.
I do too.
But there's something they're seeing that they're saying you're good enough to maybe be in the playoff, but we don't got a lot of faith in you. Essentially, they're saying they're beatable.
They are beatable. I think they are beatable. And I'm hoping that the Hawkeyes can do it this weekend. But, I mean, I'm realistic as well. And as I said, I may be very disappointed come Saturday night. Because
I hope you aren't.
I got a lot of chips cashed on this one. And I don't do that very often. But I'm all in on this one.
Yeah, I know how it feels to be emotionally all in on a game that you need. And how awesome it would be to see them get this win and be able to work their way through the rest of the season. And finally, with this team that was kind of an assembly of a variety of pieces that nobody really knew what the identity was going to be starting out this year, this is the team that gets their way into the playoff. I think would be an absolutely awesome story.
That's the key word right there. You just said it. This group of kids is playing as a team.
Yep.
It's not how am I getting my yardage. It's not how many catches do I have. It's not. It's none of that. You don't see any of that. They're all in for each other, and that's what it has to be. And
how much of that do you think
they look different? They just look different.
It's Tim Lester.
Well, I think some of it's Tim Lester, but I think more of it's the players. I think they have taken the accountability, and they've got some really good leadership. And Gronowski came in, and he's one of those guys. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of the fellas are, saw how it's done, and I think they've heard some of the stories. And 2 years ago we played South Dakota State in the opener, and scored three times. Scored 3 times
game or
and
whatever.
won 7-3. Yeah, 7-3.
7-3. That's what it was. Yeah.
Field goal and 2 safeties, and they hadn't lost another game that entire year. They didn't lose. Went right through the championship. So, and Gronowski was the quarterback.
I remember South Dakota State coming into Kinnick years ago, probably in the early 2010s. I can't remember when it was.
That was
Well, I thought South Dakota State came in and gave you a run. I thought I remember sitting in somewhere in Council Bluffs, Iowa, watching the game. Oh no, that was UNI. The 2 field goal blocks or whatever it was.
Yeah. It's the only time I've ever walked out of Kinnick Stadium before a game was over.
Man,
because I knew the kicker was a kid from Cedar Falls, and that's where we were at, and that kid was good, and he had 2 kicks in a row blocked.
Well, there was a season where we went in and we had talent-wise, the best Cyclone team probably in Iowa State history, with Charlie Kolar, Brock Purdy, Brees Hall. You just go on and on and on, and it took overtime to beat UNI. So,
yeah, no, I remember that game too.
All right, Mike. Well, thanks for taking the time tonight to join us, man. This was absolutely awesome. Hawkeye fans that listen to the show, I hope you thoroughly enjoy this. This was fantastic to get the rundown, and such a great week to do this too, with just the biggest game of the season on the horizon. So, yeah, we can wrap it up there. Mike, any final thoughts?
Go Hawks.
All right. Well, this is the Loyal Sons podcast. As we say at the end of every episode, have a cold Busch Light on us and enjoy some great football this weekend for Hawkeye fans. I'll be in Fort Worth, probably not having the best experience. But have a good night, everybody.